I'm T1mure. In terms of how my life is currently right now, there's probably two main things I do. Is 1 week. So 1 week I'm at home and I'm making YouTube videos, making games, making CS:GO maps sometimes, maybe. I don't know, maybe CS2 maps. Whoa,
Soon,
I don't
soon.
know. Yes, soon. So creative stuff while I have my free time. And the next week after that, I go to the fucking military and kill people. Now, actually, I'm a chef. I'm a chef of a
That's way
military
better.
base. I feed about, I would say, around 1,000 people on a daily basis. I would say I make
Jesus.
around 3,500 meals per day on my week in the army. And then I go back to my week at home and I play video games, and it's all
Yeah,
fun and stuff.
yeah. You told me about the time that you made like 500 schnitzels in like in a couple of hours or somewhat.
Yeah, that's okay. So basically, there was one day. There were like how can I say it? So um, if you can even call it that, because there is literally no online presence, but you can sort of say like the military chef community might appreciate my feats more than just a regular person because you don't really have context for what it
Yeah,
means. But basically, I have two, like I can say I have like major feats, something that you can tell to other military chefs, and they will be like, "Wow, now that's something." And the two schnitzel related feats are, one is that I'm one time I made in a single day 2,800 schnitzels. But in terms of speed, that was more like a
yeah,
marathon. The fact that I made it all the way for the distance. But in terms of
yeah.
speed, yeah, there was one day where my sergeant, or I think my officer is more accurate word, told me that you finish the schnitzels and you can go home. And then basically like so he told me on Sunday that on Monday you make the schnitzels and you go home. And basically what I did is that Monday, 3 a.m. in the morning, wake up. The kitchen is closed until 6, so I climbed through the window and I started beating them schnitzels. And from I started around 4 at that point
Yeah.
already, and from 4 to 8, I was done with 600 schnitzels completely, as
Jesus
well as
Christ.
the room, the meat room of the kitchen was completely clean and everything. So yeah.
God damn. So one could say that you're pretty good at what you do, and with handling schnitzels, it's like
Uh, so
specialty.
i- so the thing with military kitchens and military cooking in general is that I wouldn't compare myself to regular chef,
Yeah,
and I wouldn't compare regular chef to myself because on one hand, regular chef has much more knowledge and knows more recipes,
like the
is more
variety,
intricate ways of
variety. You
cooking.
you
Yeah,
can, yeah,
bigger variety, but you tell a regular generic chef to make 2,000 meals, and that wouldn't just work out. So
yeah,
there's a different skill set to making a large amount of same meals to making a small amount of variety meals.
yeah,
So I wouldn't. So yeah. So if you tell me to make schnitzels, I can make you the most generic basic schnitzel, but
yeah.
like at a speed of light. But
They're
uh,
optimized
and
schnitzels,
yeah,
right?
and of course I dabble sometimes, especially when I'm home. I dabble with cooking more complex stuff
Yeah,
myself, like some fucking spend half a day fucking around with Asian food. For sure, I would
yeah,
do it, but I wouldn't call myself proficient in it.
exactly. That's actually, this is really good base for when you're making so many schnitzels, you have to be optimized in your time usage. And you make more things than just schnitzels and other military food. So you make music, you make video games, and you make CS maps and other things, other creative projects. So
Uh,
yeah,
yeah. No, no, okay,
yeah.
continue with the question.
So with that, I think you have a good skill of, and we'll touch upon this later as well. You have a good skill of optimizing your projects into the like certain parts of development, and this has to do with selecting the right size of a project. You don't even start to do like a 7 month project necessarily if it means that you will be like not happy at the end of the, or you will just like take embark on projects that you know that you will finish in a reasonable time. So that's like one part of optimizing stuff. One thing in optimizing that comes to mind in Counter-Strike maps, I said this. There was a conversation about a couple days ago where I just like had to point to your level making like habits, as you don't in your levels everything is kind of optimized, and every part of the level has like some like there are no dead space. How I do it, I like make areas like there's too much space, and then I like chop away from it, but I still have a couple of spots that don't really have meaning to it. So that's something like, do you consciously do that, or is it something that just comes from experience or like different style of map making?
Um, so that was the long question.
Yeah,
I'll take
it's a
it
loaded
in two
question.
parts. Yeah, no problem. The first part is the general optimization, like in general, not only in Counter-Strike. In general, I think the word you were looking for is scope.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, that's definitely a thing. I'm not sure when I learned it or if it's even something I learned, but when I started, I think the first thing like like started creatively making ever was games,
yeah,
and I would like make games, and I would just like go to the moon with like ideas,
yeah,
but then you just fuck up, like make two levels and then give up, and and that's I think something that is talked talked about so much. There's so much talk about it, how like how to scale your project, how to finish project, stuff like that.
yeah,
I think I came to the point that all of this conversation is irrelevant to me.
yeah,
I don't want to sound condescending, but just like it's I don't know, just like don't make something big, just make small things.
yeah,
I don't know, just like find a good point for yourself to finish, and I don't think that it's that complicated, but it does seem to be a problem for a lot of people. So I wish them luck. Um,
thanks for that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So and then in terms of Counter-Strike maps, if we're already getting into it,
yeah,
um, yeah, I'm not sure. Well, first of all, let's say that even though I would consider myself a decent level designer, maybe like at least above average, even though of course I'm not even close to like being, I would say something that is good enough to be accepted in game or whatever. What so I do think that okay wait
yeah.
like
You had a good thread going on. Follow that.
yeah um 1 second. Uh, So as you said, you make rooms and then and then you sort of carve out of them.
Yeah,
How I think about my okay, sorry, okay, cut this out, everything. Okay, the
yeah.
point I was getting to. So yeah, so even though I would consider my skill to be maybe even above average, I if you look at it, I didn't make that many maps. Like if you compare myself to some other people, I didn't make that many maps at all. I made like maybe 5 diffusal maps at most, which is and like all the other stuff was like little side projects.
Yeah,
And in terms of layouts for diffuse maps, so first of all, uh, yeah, I do agree. I don't have a lot of dead space, but it's not like you have a big pool of maps to compare. So,
yeah. True.
uh, but yeah, in terms of how I design my maps, don't really ever think about it that much. It's how it happens is that I have an idea, or maybe a couple of ideas, or maybe 3 or 4 ideas. For example, if you look at my map sample, uh, the main idea is that I was sitting in class on a boring lesson. That's I think how most of my ideas ever happen. I sit in a boring
Yeah.
class. So I think it was literature,
Oh yeah.
and I sit there and I completely am completely daydreaming, not
Yeah.
connected to the
Zoned
lesson
out.
at all,
Zoned out.
zoned out, and I think to myself, well, I want to. Wow, it would be so cool if a map had a bomb site, which is like, but the bomb site isn't like horizontal, but it's like stacked. The cover of the bomb site is stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
And then I just make it, and that's like the B side of Sampo, and then I'm like, what other cool stuff can you do with that concept? Oh, maybe there's like a cave that goes under. Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, and maybe there's like, and that's one part of it, and the second part of it is that yeah, I have this like really strong feeling that I just fucking hate unnecessary stuff. And I'm not saying like if your map has like a bit little fucking a corner which is not used, that is like
Yeah.
shit map.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a cubby.
But personally for me, if something doesn't have an obvious use, and like for example, just for example, a lot of maps I see, and like especially from new mappers, but as well from some more experienced ones,
Yeah.
uh, I see like two corridors which are completely enclosed, but they go close to each other. And then I look at it, and my fucking brain just starts rotting from the inside. Like, why you don't make them into a
Yeah,
single
yeah, it's like
connected
combined.
corridor?
Yeah,
Yeah, just like okay, so you have two separate paths from in two separate corridors, but maybe you can make it more interesting. Make it into a single room with like two different levels. Make it a bridge going one over the other.
yeah,
Something. Just
yeah,
don't just connect stuff together, and that I think the what gives the what like my main level design philosophy is that just fucking if you have stuff close to each other, there's no reason not to fucking smoosh it into one.
yeah,
Just have as little walls as possible. That's the idea.
yeah. That's when you said that you don't really have that big of a pool to like judge your style of map making. I think here in this case, like level design is such a personal thing that even if you make like one map, that will already be quite a lot of like distinguishing thing that you made. You made that. You designed that, and there's so much of like there should be so much of like thinking that goes into like placing, pathing, and whatnot. So I think there you can already see it from Hangaroa, from Sampo. You can already see like quite a lot of like unique, like your distinct level design, and the ways that you make your maps. I really love the map that you made recently, DE Pekka, or is it Project D, or what's the name of the map?
Both of the names work, but officially it is Becker.
Yeah, yeah, which is another Finnish name. We learned it from past maps, and then this one that you like Finnish names for some reason, and very obscure Finnish names as well. It's not like
yeah,
Pekka is like out there very much. I mean, it is because of is it
uh,
Clash Royale or whatever?
yeah, it's Clash
Yeah,
Royale and Clash of Clans. And
right.
actually, I want to say that, yeah, sorry for cutting you. I just want to
Yeah, no problem. Yeah,
insert here a small tangent. That naming a map Pekka, that's like a hard thing for me. A small tangent about it is that naming things, there is always for when I name something, I have two names for it. I have one name which I
yeah.
have named like with what I would name it, and one name which what I should name it.
Right, right,
So,
right.
for example, Pekka is based on a modern museum of art, which is in Jerusalem, and has absolutely
Oh,
nothing
okay. Yeah,
to do with Finland or Finnish names or Pekka from Crash Royale, nothing.
yeah,
Uh, but and I would personally, if I was naming, I would name it fucking something generic. Like in my head, I would like Project D is just a name that stuck. Because I have a history of my maps that I'm not sharing until I'm done with them. I call them Project S, Project D, Project
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But I like if
Ominous.
I was making like purely for myself, I would call it something like postmodern or fucking Jerusalem or whatever,
Yeah,
something more related to the map itself. But here it was more like of a tactical move where I have like my second layer of thinking where it's like, what should I name it? Something first of all something more interesting, less generic, and secondly something which more recognizable.
yeah.
Which I think, even though I personally like, you can say and you can argue, and that's completely fine that this makes my map less personal because it has a less personal name. But I think the how do you call it? Like the benefits outweigh the cons in this case.
This is already like this wasn't on my list of questions. Like, I mean, we don't have to follow that or anything. Like this is actually more interesting. This is exactly the reason why I thought of you as someone who would be like super interesting to interview. Well, you can call this interview. Well, anyway, just your way of thinking. Like you have like even that like double layered naming of things. I think most people like I when I name something, I'm really stuck on a name. I don't give it a name if I don't have a name. I will have like my map projects are called like fucking de concept underscore and the date of like 18th of June 2021 version 1 or something, and names like de Astra. I think it's like super generic. But then it got its like meaning afterwards with the astrology signs and stuff and whatnot. So I think it was like a happy accident that it got that much of like depth to the name. But definitely I think there's just like different styles of thinking, and where your way of thinking really strikes me as interesting is that like I wouldn't even couldn't even imagine myself like going to the lengths of that to get like two names and then what those names mean to you. Like I can't make that sort of a thought like process in my mind, because in my mind I have no use of that because it doesn't give me results, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just yeah. I guess like at the end of the day, it's just like you're ending up with results through a different like sorting algorithm. You know, it's like, and you have different questions to ask yourself, and I think that's the you know, you're just asking different questions. I'm asking myself what is the name of the map. You're asking what should the name of the map be. You know, it's a same
Yeah.
question, but like arriving somewhere, but not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually want to keep on the topic of optimization. Um, so you said also that like that for example Sampo doesn't have that much like dead space, but you still want to have like every part of it has the same like, or what am I saying? Every part of the map has like a meaning and a distinct like feeling to it, and its own unique like thing that it brings to the level. For example, like T spawn is quite big, but for example, there I know why it is, I know exactly why it is big, because
Yeah.
every good map has to have a big T spawn. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
that. Like, I guess like T spawn has the most dead space, but it's like for at the end of the day, it's just like you could argue that that space is like there so that if T's get pushed by the CTs, the CTs have like a hard time clearing it out, or you can every player can afterwards like come up with their own reasoning for stuff like that. Uh, but yeah, and you even
Regarding
yeah
sorry for cutting you. Regarding T-spawn, I think it's just like in this specific case, I think you're looking too deep into it.
maybe
I'm still myself. I'm not sure why the T-spawn big map good theory works. As you know, I even made a video trying to research it,
yeah yeah
and it's like it's so dumb. But like if you tier list the maps based by T-spawn size, that's my favorite. Like that's how I
yeah
like the maps in game.
yeah
And this is so weird because I really can't like of course you can make theories that it's better for T's to camp, discourage city pushes and stuff like that. But I really am not sure what makes for me. If you look at Hangaro, it has the like if you think Sampo T-spawns, big look at Hangaro, it
oh
has the
yeah
fucking half
yeah
of the map is just the T-spawn,
yeah,
and
it's like dust too long times two times like knock off the wall, so it even like there's the open sea, so it looks
yeah,
it
yeah.
feels even more like large. And
Yeah, and
yeah
it's that's something I still haven't come to the conclusion why it works, or I'm not even like that's not even something I do it intentionally.
yeah,
That's just how it
it
goes.
just happens. I think it has
Yeah.
to do with when you come up with an idea. You like I tend to start from the T spawn. There's this map that I started to block out, and I started with the T side again. I should start with the city side, so then I have the size of the map to begin with. But I always like find myself getting attached to the maps with the cool T spawn. City spawn I can just like slot somewhere in there. But like with the T spawn, I made it's going to be set in Helsinki, and I think that this map is going to be the one that I'm going to move to CS2. But yeah, the T spawn is like next to a river, and there's T spawn, and it's already large. So I tried to like cut as much unnecessary space around the T spawn because I know that that will dominate the scale of the map of the T spawn. Basically, just the idea. I was super aware of that being the case when I started like my work on the map. So yeah, that's I had it very like rationalized in my mind. Like yeah, I want to have a big T spawn, but for this project, I want to have a small T spawn, and it's
You
probably
know,
it's probably going to fail because of that. You know?
I was just thinking of it as we were talking, and I think I came to one of another theory for
Yeah.
big T-spawn is that uh, at least in all of my maps, and I think in a lot of maps that we have in game and from the community, one thing is that uh, T's usually have a dedicated T-spawn, but cities
Mm.
not don't always have a dedicated city spawn. Usually cities spawn right between the bomb sites. What I mean is that
Yeah.
there's no like specific like this is the city spawn. Like of course we will call it city spawn,
Mm.
but it's like after the round starts, it's a rotation route. Well, T-spawn is less of a rotation route
Yeah,
after
most
round
of the
start.
time. Yeah.
And basically, because the cities are closer to the bomb sites, it's harder to adjust their timings. So usually, when you have timings problem, that you will do them on the T-spawn side, not on the
Yeah.
city,
Yeah.
and that's why it becomes more stretched out because you
Yeah.
just like you push away the timings, and you need more like space to adjust them and stuff like that, which you don't have that space to do that in city
Yeah.
spawns.
Also, it's good for like if we take D cache for example. Like T spawn is good because like T spawn in like a smiley kind of.
Yeah,
They tend to spawn like quite close to each other. So when you're starting, like if this guy from the left decides to go to A and this guy on the right decides to go to B, it's good to have that space so you can like dodge each other. There's like a little bit of running area. So that's also like we've given out feedback to map makers to also like make the T spawn like larger so that there's more space to like fuck
yeah.
around so you don't block each other. So that's yeah. There are many reasons why T spawns can be large by design, and there's also like quite a lot of reasons why they are also pushing back for the timings. That's also. But then again, T spawns like spawn locations are usually like T spawn is the one area where you can go fucking like hog wild with the detailing. Also, you can make like crazy fountains and nothing like everything like that. So it is usually the visual like highlight of the map.
Yeah,
Usually,
because what allows it is that it's no
yeah,
matter how you look at it, it's gonna be the least played area of the
yeah,
map, and I don't
exactly.
think there's a single map that like maybe fucking Crown, but even it no not really. I don't know.
Yeah, Crown has a crazy T spawn.
Yeah,
Have you
but
seen it?
yeah, of course, and
Yeah.
I'm not talking out of my ass, but I think like in terms of like integrating into the layout, I
Yeah.
think maybe Crown is the closest one. Maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's kind of
But
out there. It's like the T spawn could be like, well,
yeah,
it's kind of
it's
it's kind
still
of a dead end.
disconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like yeah, but I like. Is there a map that has like a T-spawn completely inside the layout?
Dust 2 used to be like super connected. I guess Dust 2 is like when you talk about super optimized levels. Yeah,
Well,
but not like
yeah,
that exactly. If
yeah,
it
but
like yeah.
that still achieves it at the cost of having a shitty rotation between mid
Oh
and
yeah.
outside B tunnels.
Yeah.
That's they like basically sacrifice that connector to have the
True.
integrated T-spawn.
True. Like what a super connected T spawn would mean. It would be like what I'm imagining straight away. It would be like a platform or a bridge where like drop down like
Yeah.
fucking Fortnite style. You drop down to the parts of the level that you want to push. That could be fun actually to have like level on top of level and then drop.
That is something which is like everything we discuss about the T-spawn right now,
Yeah.
which is something that doesn't exist in hostage mode because both of the
True.
spawns
True.
are used 100%.
True.
So yeah,
That. Yeah.
that's a uniquely diffusural problem.
Yeah. A topic also when we were talking about Sampo, I think that there's like your ideas. For example, when you mentioned the tunnel or the cave that connects the A bomb side and B bomb side, the idea of the cave, you want for it to be kind of a super connector again, but
Yeah,
it's a longer super connector basically, and I think that idea in and of itself doesn't leave much space for like dead end or like dead areas around it. It is kind of a streamlined like a cave. It has the straight stairs leading up like down, and then you have two distinct rooms with the elevator connecting.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Sampo tunnel. First of all, I must say, Sampo. There's a reason I stopped working on Sampo, and it's very painful. Like, of course, you know me. I'm not. Viewers don't know it, but I have a rule solid as steel, which I follow my whole life. That if you started something,
Yeah.
you should finish it, regardless how shitty it is,
Yeah.
regardless whatever. Finish it. Sampo is one of the few projects which I don't think I finished, and because like of course I have maps that are unfinished, but for me personally they're
Yeah.
finished.
Yeah.
Sampo for me personally is not finished. So the reason with Sampo is that it's one of these few projects which are like I I don't like I never give up. Again, finish everything, but Sampo is just flawed. And basically, so the caves, the whole cave system under the map, it used to be more complex. It used to have like a fucking hellhole you drop into. It used to have a bigger room
Yeah.
because initially the story of Sampo. That's like how can be a whole video, but Sampo has a long history. But initially, the whole A side of Sampo was designed by T1mure,
Yeah.
and that had its own pros and cons
Yeah.
in terms of what it achieved. Um, so yeah, initially caves were more complex. The thing with caves is that it's one of those things where they're very disconnected from the rest of the map. Basically, some people can say that you just completely remove the caves and the map will play better. Uh, and I think that is mostly correct. I imagine like the whole of the map plays exactly the same except the connectors from the cave to sides, which is like, of course it makes sense, it connects to the sides, but like it just like the map, you look at the layout, you don't really look at the cave. The cave doesn't have a layout. The cave is
Yeah.
just a straight line.
Yeah.
It's not part of the layout. You can like it might as well just be a teleport.
Yeah.
Uh, the thing is that basically it doesn't add complexity to the layout, but it adds one more entrance to each one of the bomb sites, and that's what it achieves.
Yeah.
So it really can't and shouldn't be an area of its own. It's just there to add more entrances to the bomb sites.
Yeah.
There is no reason to really like consider it as part of the layout except from this like one minute feature it's supposed to achieve.
Yeah. I think when it comes to the layout of Sampo, like there's quite a lot of rushing potential, and then like if you control the middle, I truly think that the cave is like it's super necessary to the map. Without the cave, it wouldn't work because like then you would just control the middle, which is like then controlling like super dominant to the lower bomb side. Is it B?
Yeah. It's B.
Yeah. So basically, there would be no alternate way between that bomb side, except for CT spawn, which becomes very redundant after like a couple rounds of playing, and then it's like super predictable where the rotations will be. So I think that way the cave is super interesting, and then with the elevator thing is actually I don't think the elevator is needed.
So the thing about elevator is I also was thinking that elevator is not needed. At some points, it was considered to remake the elevator and just a drop down inside
Yeah.
the cave and stuff like that. The thing with elevator is that it's just regardless of if it's exactly needed for the layout to work or not, it's more needed for my OCD for the map to be interconnected.
Right. Right.
Because again, imagine if there was no elevator, you have a fucking tunnel going all around the map, and
Yeah.
like for how much? 2,000 units, just a straight line. People would go crazy. They will go insane. They will lose their minds.
Yeah.
So elevator, of course elevators don't really work in CS:GO, and but I still think that elevator is necessary. Maybe it doesn't serve a direct gameplay purpose because there's like very little advantage to actually using the elevator, but it
Yeah.
should be there to give you the ability, to give you the perceived connectivity, to
Right.
give
Yeah.
it. It maybe doesn't achieve the gameplay, but it achieves the feeling, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a little bit too much risk when it comes to using the elevator, and that kind of sours the element of like Counter Strike. It's so information based, and like if you just like if it's a 2v2 situation, and you know even one like as a T you're taking a bomb site on like bomb site A, the upper bomb site, and you know the location of one of the CTs. Now you have a 2v1 situation against one of the CTs. You can kill him, and then or you have a higher chance of killing him, and then you can separate the two CTs from the two Ts, basically. And
Yeah, and that
yeah,
in general brings me to another point, which I also found out with
yeah,
Sampo sort of, but and as well with other maps. But yeah, I personally found for myself that I freaking hate, and I can't like I have like many hot takes you can say in terms of design of stuff. But
yeah,
one of my most like strong opinions is that sound cues for areas are shit, are just pure shite.
Why?
If so, why is that? I Now I don't have like a design reason to like
Yeah,
to explain like on high level why that shouldn't work. It's just I play even my own map. For example, Sampo has an elevator which has a sound cue, or I play Cache which has a door, or I play whatever agency which has the fucking beep
yeah, the metal
thing.
detector.
Yeah.
We
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
every time I find myself playing any map or even fucking insertion 2 and stuff like that, because lots of doors. What I find myself is that if there is a sound cue to going through an area, maybe it's just my personal playstyle, but like I'm like 90% of the round I'm on shift. If there's a sound cue to an area,
yeah,
that's a no-go. I just don't go there. Dot like I from all of the like I don't play cache a lot, but all of the games I ever had on cache, I don't think I once went to the door unless it was like a P90 rush.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
the fact that you need to like announce to everyone. So before you pick, you need to announce to everyone around you, "I'm here," and then you pick, and that's so stupid.
Yeah, yeah. I see that way. It can be to the detriment of the design. I think in cache how it works beautifully is that you have two entrances, but the one entrance is with the cost of noise, and there's like this is very easy to understand. But then again, in cache it's not necessarily your how it works in cache is that you can come very close to the site if CTs don't open the door and play against you aggressively, which then they are giving you quite a lot of information that there's already like one CT on the site. So that's guaranteed information for Ts who hear the squeaky opening. Then usually if the squeaky opens, there's a rush to be waited or anticipated from the CTs. So basically, if the door keeps closed, the T's can come very close to the bomb site. Main is a little further up from the bomb site than the squeaky. It's like right over there. And from squeaky, it's also you can do utility support, so you can open it, and then like not even peek peek the angle through the squeaky. You can pretty much like throw flashbangs, smokes. You can smoke pretty far up to highway without exposing yourself, or you can even smoke over the squeaky door to land a nade onto the bomb site. So there's quite a lot of utility support. And if you open it once and the CTs don't close it, now you have two silent entrances to the bomb site. Of course, the sightlines don't work that way, but there's always like it's in my mind it allows for more strategic gameplay. I can see why it can be quite of a annoyance as well if you want to keep like the counter striking like as pure as possible. But I think squeaky doors, like DE cache, I wouldn't even say that DE cache does it like the perfect way. But how Nuke squeaky door on A bomb site does it, I think that's like the current pinnacle of squeaky doors. How it works. B bomb site is just the squeaky doors could be like they're annoying on B bomb side, but on A bomb side the squeaky door is perfect. I think both CTs and Ts can nullify the effect of the squeaky door. If CTs can if CTs have a say in the matter, they would never want to blow it up. But Ts, they have a say in the matter. They will like pre-nate the squeaky door as soon as possible, nullifying one of the sound cues from the level, and also hopefully taking up the vent opening, so you can actually push into squeaky quickly or take a main entrance. So in that way, but squeaky doors have to be used in what's the word, conservatively, and they have to be actually designed around and with newer maps or like some maps that we have playlisted on mapping, I think there have been like a couple iterations where there's just a squeaky door in the way and it's just like super annoying. And in that case your gripe with the squeaky doors comes into play, and I get that completely. But that's actually kind of a based take. If I can congratulate on you on a based take, well, here you go.
Base take. No, I think in general the way I play the game is so disconnected from the like the I don't know how to say the popular way to play it. I'm not saying
Yeah.
like I'm not like the other girls. I don't like the sound cues. I'm just saying that like for for me personally, how I play, and that's how I try to design my maps, is that I would like to play them, and I hopefully other people will like. But first of all, of course, I
Yeah.
should like myself playing my own map. So yeah, in that term, for me, sound cues are a no-no, because I think the choice to make a sound or not to make a sound should be on the player solely, not on the level. So the player should choose himself if he wants to shift or not. That's enough of a choice. I don't think there needs to be more sound cues to add to it.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion, of course.
How about
And
a
yeah.
how about a silent squeaky door?
So now the doors themselves, I never had any doors in my own maps, like at least my serious maps, quote unquote. In terms of doors, I anytime. I have a sight line. Wait, but what do I feel doors achieve? Like what's the point of a door?
Yeah.
Is to so you have a sight line and you want to make it like you have a long sight line or like a weird sight line and you at in like you can decide if you want to keep it or not keep it, so you
Mhm.
just put a door in the middle. That's
Yeah.
how I personally
Yeah.
see it. And that's how I also see double doors. That's like I'm not saying it's lazy, I'm not saying it's bad, because of course cache does too exist. But again, personally for me, talking from my own opinions and experience,
Hmm.
doors are just a way, like every time I feel like maybe I should put a door here, for me, like that's a signal that this cycling is just should be reworked entirely instead of putting a door here.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good. Actually, that's a good tip. See, again, you're like already you have these like set ways of like if this happens, then I'll do this, and if I have to do if I have to go back or like what's the word? If I have to resort in using this like cheap trick, then I'm wrong. You know, you have these like fallback ideas in your mind, which is like, you know, it's a different style of thinking, which is like to me very exciting. You know, to actually hear these ideas
Yeah,
of
I'm
yourself just
revealing all
actually.
of my secrets right here.
No, it's but like not many. I don't think not many, like many people actually. Well, there's this like this theory that there are like non-sentient people out there just like walking and getting like high-paying jobs and taking like let's
uh,
not get to that, but I think I definitely think that there's it's very interesting, and you can learn to adapt these like thought processes to your own thinking, and then make better judgment on in when you're like making a level or so it's really interesting, and it can be useful.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I have this question, which is it's a really hard question. How do you make sure that you're keeping your work consistent?
Well, what do you mean by I'm keeping my work consistent?
Well, it's a loaded
That I
question because the
you mean that I don't procrastinate?
no, the question it's a hard question again. It's so it's on the pretense that your work is like consistent. You view your work as consistent? Like you have set standards that you work with, and set your boundaries to something.
Standards. I yeah, I would say I don't have standards. I have like, well, that's sort of a standard. I have my own design, my feeling of
Mm.
design for just for let me think. I know I have a couple of examples, but I can't really think of them right now. 1 second. Yeah, I don't have an example right now on top of my head, but a lot of times I'm playing a game and there's just like not even only CS:GO
Mm.
maps, but just any game, and there's like something which is off, and it's so obvious to me that it's off, but the game just exists nonetheless. And it's not like it's a mistake
Yeah.
or on the game designer's part or on the level design part. Just something is off, and like I'm going crazy because it feels like I'm the only one who sees it.
Yeah.
Uh, and for me, I don't think I have like a standard of quality. For me, as long as nothing is off, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I'm trying to bring something to a good standard. I'm just trying to have no problems. That's what I'm trying to.
Right. Right.
That's my goal.
Yeah. And that's already you kind of answered it, but I want to go a little bit deeper, since like you do have this way of like not revealing your projects before they are
Yeah.
like done, you know? That's already a little bit of like quality control, that you set a standard to yourself that you want to reveal a level of consistency from your base of work. Uh,
Um. Okay. So here I wouldn't here the reason. So there's two main reasons I don't reveal anything about my project.
yeah.
So for me, now we're going super deep into the mind. So the main reason for me to make a
Yeah.
project, for example, I was thinking about that not that long ago, is why would I want to make a map? Why would I want to make a game? So what's like, of course I enjoy the process, and I really do, but the best absolute part of making a game, making a map, it's seeing people playing it, and that's obvious,
Oh
of
yeah.
course.
Yeah.
But for example, nitrogen, one of my better maps I made.
Arms race map, yeah.
Yeah, arms race maps. Where, so for context, for someone who doesn't know, it has a mechanic which every 3 minutes, all of the lights turn off, and it's like I'm really proud of myself for how I did it. But yeah, all of the lights on the map turn off, and there's 1 minute of darkness, and then you go on to playing like normally. And here, how it goes is that I have this idea, and basically what I'm trying to achieve is I'm not like when I was making Nitrogen or when I'm making my other games and stuff like that. A lot of the times I'm not aiming to I want to make a map of this quality, of this size, of that, this criteria, this criteria, this criteria. I'm more aiming to what feeling I want to achieve from people playing it. And for example, with Nitrogen, I still have the recording, and like, or you can see in your playtest video on your YouTube, is where when the lights first go out, because no one knew about this mechanic, and when the lights first go out, everyone like, whoa! And this moment is that's why you don't reveal shit before you finish it. Is that if I revealed it earlier, like I would have like posted the video on Discord, people were like 2 messages, cool, and that's it, and no one cares.
You're right. You're exactly right about that. Yeah.
So the big reveal, and I'm keeping that from all of my projects. So I'm not saying everything should have a twist where like people go wow, but in my experience, basically how it works is that I'm making something and I'm not showing it to anyone. And when I personally feel it's ready, I show it to MF/Serious Business, who is my personal idea guy, I can call him.
Ideas man.
Ideas man. Yeah, basically he's the only person allowed to hear or see anything of mine earlier. Why? Because he just has like a very, I wouldn't say 100% different way of thinking. Like we're of course have a lot of in common, but certain things he does see differently, and he just very much helps me to like, this is shit and this is good. And like, of course I don't like yes, how all hail MF/Kum, I'll do as you say, but just I do need to have like one more opinion before I make something public. And if it's a bigger project, I'll get a couple more opinions, that's just depends on the size of the project. But yeah, so basically I don't reveal to anyone, then reveal to only one person. So I spoil the surprise, but I do get valuable feedback which will improve the surprise for everyone else.
Yeah, that's like, I think you revealed one of your, like, I can't remember what project it was, but I felt I knew this context, and then you like revealed something to me, and I felt really proud to be the one, like 1 in 8 billion to be like exposed to this like knowledge of like a secret project. So yeah, it is definitely and ultimately
sorry.
Continue.
Yeah, and just so again, one more thing of like me like going crazy with myself, just to understand, there are some projects like, I wouldn't say they're in works because I'm not actively working on them, but they're supposed to achieve these feelings, and I will like honestly say I have projects for 10 years in the future, and no one knows about them except of course MF/Kum, who's the only one blessed by the eternal knowledge, but there are some other ones he even doesn't know.
Exactly.
There's just, again, it's just, for me it's like a collection of just like this, like a lot of times when I play games or watch movies, I'm like, there's like something happens, like in the Baby Driver movie, when the foot chase starts with the music and everything. It's just like personally when I was watching it first time, like just completely like whoa. And this is like this type of feeling. This is just fucking like, for lack of a better word, epic. This is what I'm trying to achieve, and they're like, I have, of course, if I don't die a homeless man on the street in the next 2 weeks, I will achieve someday all of this 10-year plan, CEO, invest in stock market shit.
And MF/Kum is the one who will like continue the legacy. You will have to like write a little like notebook for him. Like if you know that the impending doom is coming, then like he will hand it over, and then he will be tasked with finishing up the T1 legacy, right?
I think I do think he's the one, because again he's my most trusted person. I do think he's the I do think he's the one to like execute my obituary in case something like that happens. I don't think if I how I feel about it is that if I do die, I'm content enough with the legacy I already did. It's not like I have a huge legacy. I'm like overly popular or anything, but personally, I feel if I would have died right now at this point, of
Yeah.
course, like I'm not saying I'm not scared of death. I don't want to die, but if I would have died
Yeah.
right now, I'd be like, I did a good amount of shit.
Yeah.
I did a good amount of stuff. Like if of course I would have liked to have done more, but I'm okay. I'm okay. I still like I'm okay with it. And so if I die, I don't think someone should like continue my legacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's more of just like just tell people that I'm dead and that I'm not just offline.
I,
And that's
I
that's
just
about it.
I just think why I even started on the like continuing the legacy thing. I just think that you don't even realize how like extensive of an idea like space you have in your mind that it would be like, I have no idea what you have in store like in the back catalog or whatever. But I guess it like, knowing you, I think there might be like some gems of ideas back there that you just haven't had the opportunity to get to working on. And I think I have to go back to just a little bit. This is a little bit of a tangent. I think going back to the surprise element. You like Wes Anderson movies, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and I haven't watched like I don't think I've ever seen like any Wes Anderson movie. But you told me about the like you showed me a couple of clips, and what really struck my eye is the like element of surprise in any scene. And
yeah, yeah.
I think that is also the like ties into the thing of like not revealing the thing, because the element of surprise will really hit you in the face like differently. And that's just like the like seeing some scene from the bicycle scene, for example, that caught
Yeah,
me
yeah.
really off guard. And that was really really exciting to be, it only lasts for a second, but you get this feeling of what's next in the store, you know.
Yeah, I think for me personally, with Wes Anderson, I wouldn't call myself like the biggest fan of his. I do enjoy his movies, but I think most white people enjoy his movies. Uh, yeah, that's a deep cutting joke that we
Right.
wouldn't go into discussing here.
Not here.
But yeah, what I can say is that so you described it as a surprise here. It's personal. It is certainly an element of surprise, of course, on a much smaller scale, because what I do think with one of the like fascinating things with Wes Anderson is that something I just personally really relate to is that the way he shoots his shots and the way he puts his scenes, everything is not like a lot of people will read into it, like fucking 3 hour video essay where it's like what is the meaning of this and that.
Yeah.
I don't think I personally am of the opinion where when you see like weird stuff like how Anderson movies are shot like this and that, it's not because he has like super deep meaning to convey, just because that's different. I want to do it like it. Um, uh, for a stupid example, I never even thought of it until someone mentioned it to me. So small tangent. I swear to God, it's small. But in
It's
JoJo's
good.
Bizarre Adventure anime,
Yeah.
season 4, I watched completely through it, and I never thought of it. And then someone mentioned, and someone went like, "Have you ever thought why in season 4 all of the grass, like all of the everything that should be green, all of the greenery is blue, and the sky is yellow?" And I'm like, "What? What?" And I open screenshots. I start watching. I'm no joking.
Yeah.
At no point ever I thought why is the sky yellow or why
Yeah.
is the grass blue. I never even considered it. It's just because like for me as I see it, when people like make this, it's not because like there's some deep meaning. It's just because I wanted to do it. Like
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
And that's one of my also like biggest like design opinions, is that just there's no deep meanings. Just shut the fuck up. Of course, I have no
Yeah.
education, so I wouldn't even like be educated enough to go put myself into the deep meanings. I just feel like this exists because it looks cool, because it is cool, because it does a cool
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a deeper meaning.
Yeah.
The deeper meaning is maybe the story behind it, but like the art itself, it's cool. It's not supposed even to have a
Yeah.
deeper meaning inside of it.
Yeah. This touches a little bit of on the like explaining the art. I don't want to go a little like too deep into this, like this is very surface level, but I think like I hate even saying this, but it's like there's definitely a school of thought in like not explaining the art, because like when you start to explain something, for example, like when someone asks like, whoa, what is this like picture you drew, what is meant to be, or like with tattoos, it there's like you can explain it, but then again, then you might feel cheap for explaining something that felt or had like a like very personal meaning to you, and then you start to think in your mind, you might start thinking that like, was it stupid on this pretense to get this tattoo, or like what was I thinking when I was getting this? So that's
Basically,
like,
the
yeah.
feeling you get is when you're like, have you ever told your dream you had to anyone? That's the feeling you get
Oh
when you
yeah,
do it.
oh yeah, yeah. And then there's like this snobby feeling of then again also saying that it's like you shouldn't never like explain art like that. There's like 2012 hipster feeling to
No,
saying
it's
that
not
even, but
about.
it is true. Yeah.
Oh, like you can explain art. It's just I think it's not the artist's job to do that.
True. Yeah. 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 Exactly. And that's leaving like that's also separating the artist from the consumer of the art, or like enjoyer
Yeah.
of the art. You know, it's also making enough of space for the element of like imagination, or is there truly anything there?
Yeah.
You said that, like, also continuing on the topic of your like back catalog, it reminded me of an interview of the artist Björk, which I really love. Um, like,
I I know Björk from the Björk being used in DevGrip songs as samples. That's my.
yeah, maybe. But like she had, I'm not gonna go too deep into this again. But like she had, when she was like making her first two albums, like debut and post, uh, those consisted of like all the back catalog that she had in mind for two first albums, and then the third album, it's like completely new style of music. It is kind of Björk has a very distinct style of music and composing. But like what she said, that she had these songs ready in her mind, but she just like couldn't start doing them because she was playing in another band, and she got like tired for a little while. But like when the opportunity hit, she just pretty much like pushed two albums out of her, and then released those, and they became like mega hits. And but that feeling of getting to the state, like, are you looking forward to the day that you have like a clear slate, like tabula rasa with anything, like a clean slate where you can like build up on with new ideas, or are you always building from a back catalog basically?
So first of all, I get ideas very dynamically. So again, how it works. Every bike ride, every work shift, every time I cook, I fucking make 3,000 schnitzels in the army. Anytime I'm bored, that's the idea time, as well as also before I go to sleep. That's like I found to myself life hack. That's the easiest way to go to sleep. Is that like, oh, I can just think for ideas, and then I just get
Yeah,
fall asleep in the middle
yeah.
and don't even notice.
I can wait. Keep this thought. I need to grab something.
No
Wait.
problem.
So this is my notebook. Here are the questions. I'm not gonna show this very in depth. This is like scribbles. That's all of the questions I got for this interview basically, and I did it yesterday before I went to sleep. Like I went into my bed. I closed my eyes for 3 seconds. I was like, oh fuck it, and I just like stood up. I wrote those like very hastily, and today earlier, I wrote them down on a notepad, and I can't even read the fucking notes that I made. They're like so hastily scribbled, and I just like with my brain like still like sizzling out of ideas. I just went to bed and but I slept
Yeah.
really good, and yeah. But it is a good tip to like start. Well, your mind has to be in a place of like nothing really pushing it,
Yeah,
or
of course.
yeah,
If I'm doing something, I wouldn't be like if I'm doing something meaningful, I
yeah,
wouldn't have the space to think for ideas.
right,
And
yeah,
yeah, and so now back to the topic with that we were talking about. So would like when I have a clean slate, would I make everything I have ready? No. Why? Because there is a system. Basically, how it works is that
system.
I have, for example, I have right now an
Yeah.
idea uh, for a fucking well, maybe not AAA, but a huge game. And I know, like, I have sort of free time right now, but I know if I'm making it right now, I will fail because it, if or maybe if I don't fail, it will take me 20 years, and I will that will not work. So what do we do? Well,
Mm.
think of other ideas. I have a smaller idea, and have a smaller idea, have a smaller idea, like a matryoshka. And basically, how it works is that how I see it is that I have, for example, ideas for small projects. I have ideas for medium project,
Mm.
big project. The biggest project I've ever done is BitTorched. It took me a full year to finish, and basically, it's like I'm I'm looking at this like a build up.
Mm.
I can't go straight into making the big thing. I need to make small things of the same type. So, for example, games,
Mm.
and that might, if someone is watching here at this point, that's a spoiler for maybe video series I'm going to have. But for games, make the simplest
Yeah.
game possible, and then make it a little bit more complex, and
Yeah.
then a little bit more complex, and then a little, and you have a AAA title. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And basically, even though I have a back catalog for like I have ideas for fucking 5 AAA games, of course I'm not gonna make myself AAA game.
Mm.
So I'll make the simpler games. I'll make the more complex game. I'll make videos, music, maps, whatever.
Yeah.
It's if I get to a point where I personally feel that I've gotten more confident in my own ability, as well as I got more people on board with me who are ready to help me.
Yeah.
Then only then we can go into the big boys.
Then we'll talk.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's and again I have this written down. I have boundary setting with projects and also the scope of things. This is not a skill that everyone has, and and you do realize it, and we already touched upon it earlier. But that's exactly the like perfect scope handling of a skill set that you do have. You're not embarking on too big of a project if you know that you're not able to like one and even finishing. I don't think like finishing is the end all be all of everything. I think that there's so much that you can learn from like uh going ahead with a large project and then maybe like crashing down with the project. But there's if you fail with a large project, you're establishing some sort of a skill with the scope handling. That's exactly what you do have a very good sense of. So failing projects, you're getting more experience with the scope handling side of things. So well, with you might have a different understanding of it, but I think because your scope handling is so developed, I think you're not really getting anything from failing projects necessarily anymore.
Again, I can't remember, like the last project I officially failed was if anyone remembers, I'm not sure even you remember. I made the game Wavepunk for the last year's
Yeah,
JMTK game
yeah, I
jam.
remember
Yeah,
Webpunk. Yeah,
okay. So I made Wavepunk, and then I wanted to. Basically, I was against it, so I was making it together with XD, if
yeah,
anyone remembers who that is. And XD was like, "Oh, this is such a cool game. Let's make a full version. Let's make a full version." I was like, "No, that wouldn't work." I'm like, "If you want, you can make it yourself. I give
yeah,
you the rights. I'm not participating in that because I know that's out of scope." But he pushed me into it, and I'm not gonna blame him because I did agree to it after all.
mm,
I'm like, okay, I'll do it because it is such a cool idea, but.
mm,
And like I didn't even plan something too grandiose with it, but that's just one of my only other like projects that I officially failed. And it wasn't about scope. I think the scope was fine. It's just my failure here was not recognizing. So the scope wasn't the problem. The problem was not recognizing that the concept of the game,
yeah,
the game design does not fit for a large scope. So this game, how can I say it? This game in its concept, in
mm,
its like inner workings, is made to be a flash game.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not meant to be a big game,
yeah.
and that's one thing I learned. But so yeah, that's one of my other projects that I failed, and you can say that's something that I learned from it.
Yeah, and that's funny. Like that sort of a thing might like that mindset might feel like super pessimistic. Like, I don't wanna start on this like awesome project because I'm not gonna be able to fix it. That might sound for someone might sound like pessimistic, but that's truly like wisdom in the sense that you're setting yourself up with a project that you can finish and then learn from the finished project. Yeah, I wouldn't say that that's pessimistic. And anyone saying that that's pessimistic, they obviously don't have the like understanding of finishing anything, you know. And
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
obviously, you have to, with creative projects, you have to have wishful thinking. But with creative projects, you have to have that sort of a sort of understanding of the scope. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And there are some bigger projects that I feel I could finish if I like started right now. I'm doing it. I could finish it. I have a couple of ideas, but again, hold yourself back because like if it's like even if there's a project, my T1mure wisdom right here. If there's a project and like when there's a super big AAA game, of course you won't want to make it. But there's a game that you feel like you have the just or like a map or song, whatever. You feel like you have the just right amount of skill to make it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Go even easier. Uh, hard to explain. Like not everyone gets it, but like basically, even if it's a project you can like your skill is perfect for it. Okay, you will make it. Maybe you will finish it if everything goes well, but just make a simpler project and you will finish it. But not only will finish it because you're overqualified, you will not just finish it to a good standard. You will make it fucking perfect. And
Yeah.
a perfect smaller project for me is more valuable than an okay medium-sized project.
Yeah. What do you think of perfectionism? Does that exist in your mind, or like what does perfect say to you?
Mm, again, perfect for me. I don't think there. I'm going back to a point I said before. I don't. I'm not trying to make anything perfect. For me, something perfect is something that doesn't have problems.
Yeah,
So
I knew that you were going to say that
yeah,
because like that really
yeah,
left
Be-
kind of a mark in my mind as well. You saying that, yeah.
yeah. Because again, it doesn't have any flaws. Like, of course, we can talk about standards, and I know, like, I made a video, and I have a couple of videos that I know that I am like like them less. I have some videos that I
Yeah.
like them more. Uh, but basically, the idea is that if it doesn't have a major glaring problem,
Yeah.
then it's good enough. There is no point in searching for perfection because, first of all, point number one is that your own personal perfection is like 200% of the 100% perfection of people looking at you.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it
any
is.
project that you think isn't perfect, everyone else around you will think it is perfect.
Yeah.
That's part number one. And part number two, again, it sounds bad to like saying to lower your standards, but again, it's not about lowering your standards. It's just about that like this just there are no problems. Like there's nothing to complain about. There's something to maybe be said of like missed opportunities,
Yeah.
but that's like a whole different topic. Just it's for example, may go fucking like start a new project. Your goal is to make a song that goes beep bop boop. You make it, and it's perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
achieved your goal. Like
Yeah,
you
you did
you
it.
you might say it's not good, but it is perfect because you perfectly achieved your goal.
Yeah.
And in terms of game design, I have this very strong also opinions that there's two types. There are games that are good, and there are games that are good at achieving their ideas.
Yeah.
And I can go more in depth into it, but I think that's a story for another day.
Yeah. I think um in my mind I don't like when people use the word perfect because that's a loaded term. I wish that people like there are like perfect things that you can do, you know, in the terms of like visuals. Something can be perfect, or in the terms of visuals, usually is it satisfying to the point that you see nothing that could be improved on, you know. That's kind of a
Yeah,
perfect visual. Or if you have like a facade of a building, it's usually like very blank, wide open spots seem like they need detail. And in visual design of Counter-Strike maps, for example, those kinds of things can be criticized and then can be improved upon. But there very often, very rarely, are things that are not perfect. I mean, are perfect. And yeah, I think with starting like map makers or whatnot, that there is kind of like with map making there are tons of pitfalls that new map makers can fall into. and perfectionism, or like false sense of perfectionism, not even realizing what it means in your mind, because perfectionism is different in other people's minds. It stands for different meanings in everyone's mind. But I think with if you want to make the perfect map, what do you even mean? You have to ask yourself like, what do you mean with making the perfect map? And I think that's can be very dangerous, since I started map making when back in 2015, I think. And I spent basically I finished two like very amateurish maps. I think maybe three, but I remember one of them was like a very pink map called Church Town Heights. It is a very small map, but it was fun. I finished it. The second map was called T1mure, where I went like super standard, but it had a cool mid. With that experience, I started developing my perfect map, and all the time from there until up until now that I finished Astra, I really didn't finish anything because I was just scoping, looking for that perfect, like catching the fucking light. What is it, lightning in a jar type of a situation where
In a
like
bottle.
lightning in a bottle, yeah, type of a situation where I like stumble upon like the perfect design or something,
Yeah.
which doesn't exist. In my mind, I didn't want to like I didn't understand the manual like blue collar labor of playtesting, honing in the things that don't work, and then like balancing the project up on that. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
there's no one telling you this. If you're a solo developer, you can watch all the fucking what is the big like TEDx style of a fucking
GDC.
GDC. Yeah, you can watch all of those, and then after that, like understand nothing. That like there's no one telling you that you shouldn't be striving for perfection in your mind. But yeah, it's an easy pitfall to fall down.
Yeah. At the same time, I can add that a CS:GO map might be a bad example because again, if we're talking music, if we're talking games, if we're talking drawings, for example, one thing I wanted to do for a while, and maybe I'll do it someday.
Yeah,
Uh, just basically what it's based on is that I have a canvas I didn't use.
yeah,
Yeah, I make paintings sometimes. No one is aware of that except for a couple of people. Anyway, um, so I have this idea. So basically, what I'm saying is that not even like you can achieve perfection. It's just again, it's how you set yourself up. So for example, CS:GO maps are set in a sort of realistic style, and
yeah,
it is so hard to achieve. You're sort of setting yourself up for failure unless you're a
yeah.
professional
Already,
or
yeah.
you know what you're doing. But for example, for this painting, I want to do a painting, and you know what painting I want to do? I saw some video, and it was like a museum, and it was a painting which is just fully white with one red stripe. And I looked at it, I'm like, this is perfect. I want to do something like this as well. Like everyone keeps on hating modern art,
Yeah.
and fuck you if you hate modern. Okay, I'm sorry. No, you can like whatever you
I
like.
can I can attend to
Yeah.
that. Fuck you if you like. Fuck you if you like modern art. Do it with me. Fuck you, and then point at the gear.
Yeah, no. I'm saying is that basically what I'm saying is that, for example, this modern art, which is just like splatter a bunch of shit onto a canvas,
Yeah.
it is perfect. Like, again, it's kind of dumbfound, but like, in just if you put yourself in a, if you put your project in a genre, in a category,
Yeah.
which is like the skill ceiling is low, it's easy to achieve perfection. And now and more. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that it's not exactly that you're like shouldn't strive for perfection. It's more like that you should set yourself up for your desired perfection
Yeah.
level type things. Basically, is that again, if your goal is to stand on one leg for 10 seconds, you can achieve perfection.
Yeah. Yeah. You can. Yeah.
But if your goal is to make the best athletic Olympian exercise possible,
Yeah.
then like no matter, like just again, just think about, like, it's not, I'm not saying don't try to achieve perfection, just think about it in ways that like which perfection can you achieve.
Yeah. That's also translating to skateboarding, which I have quite a lot of understanding about. Skateboarding is such a you can break it down to like for example like ollie to a board slide down a rail. So basically board slided whereas like this is you, the board is like over here, and
Yeah,
then the rail is like in between the board and you're like going down like
yeah,
this.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
And an ollie is just the way you jump with it
yeah,
with the
yeah. I
board
know. Yeah.
in your feet.
I had a
So
fingerboard when I was 10 or something.
let's
So yeah,
go. I
I know
still
this
have a
shit.
couple fingerboards in a little locker down there. But anyway, so to understand, like with skateboarding, you have to have a level of perfect with your tricks. So when you're going for like when you're starting skateboarding, you might want to try the ollie to a board slide down the rail. You have to learn how to roll perfectly. There's a level of perfection. You have to break down. You have to set your standards to very low, which is just learning to roll on the skateboard. The second step is to learn how to, and you have to have perfect rolling with the skateboard to achieve like an ollie to
Yeah,
something onto something. You have to perfect that in order to be able to do the board slide down the rail. So in that way, you can achieve perfection, perfect in a different, and it is kind of an like objective perfect in that mind, as you have to achieve some level of understanding and physical prowess to like do the thing perfectly in order not to hurt yourself. Obviously,
yeah,
there's a danger aspect to it, and the more perfect you can achieve it, then obviously it's not you're not gonna hurt yourself. So yeah, there's I do believe in perfect, but in map making it doesn't really exist, and in many creative aspects it doesn't really translate to anything at the end of the day. It's like an understanding uh, of levels of achieving thing. You also noted on like music, video, and video game art. So you have very varied skill set in all of those three. And do you have any like can you point out like a skill that translates between all of those? I can already tell that you have well the scope setting is already one that you have that translates between those.
yeah. Scope setting is like in general for your whole life. It's not only
Yeah.
for projects you
Yeah, yeah,
make
yeah,
like
for
this.
sure.
Um, Something which is like similar between. Well, how I look at it is that you have how it works with art is that how I look at it is that you have the basic forms of art and then you have the complex forms of art. What I mean by that is that if you really think about it, for example, super simple example, you have music, which is a form of art. You have uh, uh, oh no, no, let's even I don't. Okay, you have music, which is a form of art, which is basic, and you have photography, which is a form of art, which is also basic. If you combine them, you can make like a music video, which is like which would something would I call would a complex form of art. And basically, what I'm trying to say by that is that, for example, drawing is a basic form of art, and then if you make games, if you make maps, if you make videos, this skill is like just inherently a part of it. So
Yeah.
that's something that will be shared between them. Music, you make music. If you make videos, if you make games, sort of. If you make maps, not really. Music will be useful, and that's sort of how they all interconnect. And that's so for the longest time. So videos is my most recent endeavor, you can say. And I never like planned to be a YouTuber or anything, but just at some point I had this like eureka moment where it's like, so I made this map, and I have my songs and I have the stuff I draw and I have my skills and that. I can just like craft all of them together into
Yeah.
a video, and that's literally what is it about? Is that you have your basic skills, and then if you're like so you're good at drawing, but if you're like good at drawing and then you're good at music, you can combine your drawings and music, and that is awesome. If you're good at level design and good at drawing, combine your drawings, put them in your map,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure how to explain it, but this combined project, this they're also like feel more rewarding to you
Oh
at
yeah.
the end of
Yeah,
the
they do.
day.
They do. I think I had that same well you know the song that I released, the
Yeah,
first proper song that I ever made. I had that like I didn't think of making a music video for it, and I didn't think of anything about the song really. After I uh, went through my videos on my phone, and I found that driving video of me working at UPS back in the day. And I found that video, and I was watching it, and I was like, hey, I have this song that I could slap this music video at the back, and I recorded that video for an entirely different meaning. I didn't know when I was recording it, like, should I ever like do anything with the video. But yeah, it was kind of a happy accident of me like having some sort of a video to slap the song onto and then make like a music video on it. And with like making videos, I never also like thought of like actually making a YouTube channel and starting to make like I never like planned on doing like this major, or it's not really major, but like what led up to this, like this moment of me actually planning out like an interview series and actually doing it. I couldn't have ever guessed of actually like taking it even this far. Like this is already like quite complex of an idea to actually have all of this like context behind us, and then knowing you, and then actually taking it and like improving it into something that can be watched later on and actually enjoyed. So yeah, and when it comes to multi like or like multi-medium skill sets, I think also knowing, like, you can make a song without knowing what makes a good song. You can make a good song out of like
Yeah, yeah,
without knowing. You can make a good map without knowing what makes a good map, and you can make a good video without knowing what makes a good map. All of those have certain structure, and knowing, like, learning that certain like getting that skill of learning to notice the certain patterns that make a good. Also, you can study this, but it's also like found, like naturally found in some people. Uh, but yeah, I think that's in and of itself is a skill set that you can have to learn patterns that make a good digestible product or a video or a medium. Yeah.
yeah. Basically, do shit. Don't
Do
just
shit.
like yeah, just do some practice. Don't just focus on theory. Just do shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had this, like, left this question to the finale of this. Do you
Oh.
have any thoughts? I have this question: how to finish a project? Do you ever struggle on finishing a project? Like, do you have things that are like 80% done, and then like
No.
without, you don't have that? Okay.
Yeah, I'm the worst person to ask for this advice because I just don't have
Yeah.
this problem. Again, I sound very cocky. I sound like if I was listening to this podcast, I would feel like, oh, this guy is a dick. But
Leave a
on,
comment below if you think that this guy's a dick.
yeah,
Right.
but but honestly, just like in terms of finishing projects, for example, Bitorched, my biggest project, took a year to make. Basically, how it went is that like I'm working, and like at one point I like step away and like, oh wait, it's done. What?
Yeah.
Like, same with my songs, same with my everything. It's not like oh there's the end point.
It never is like
I need
that.
to
Yeah.
get no. Yeah, it's just like I'm working on it, and then I look at it and like, well, this is it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I'm a very bad person to ask for it. But one thing I can say in terms of for finishing projects, just like for me, I think the reason I don't have a problem with not finishing projects is that just for me it's not an option. Again, as I
Yeah.
said, steel rule, never break it. Just if you started something, even if it's shitty, for example, you started drawing a drawing, it looks bad, still finish it because like just don't allow yourself to start on a new project before you finish the previous one because that just sets you up to not finish the new one. Then it's that
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah. It lowers the like step of starting a new. There is a air of addiction when it comes to starting a new project. And I talked about this with my girlfriend, whose colleague is like, she's really ADHD, and she's also a creative person. Like, she paints, she plays the drums in a band, she sings, and like also skateboards, which is and she's been struggling her whole life with sticking into projects, and she's like already like 42 or something. So she might not be 40. So if you're watching this, I apologize. Anyway, so when I realized this, that there is a kick to starting a new project, there is this air of endless possibilities, and in your mind, the project, for example, like a gray box level, it is in your mind, it's a perfect thing. It has the possibility of becoming like the greatest thing ever, even though it is nothing yet. So there's just this like this potential that you haven't really put into the project that brings you this uh, like a shot of good feeling, and you can be really proud of an idea that you're like, well, you know, the ideas man, kind of a, well, the idea guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that like the idea guy is one of the, how do you can say, like if I had the T1mure Bible, the idea guy would like get a whole chapter for the
yeah,
idea guy,
yeah.
because everyone wants to be the idea guy. You
Mm.
know, again, I sound so fucking corny. Like I want to punch myself in the face. But again, everyone wants to be the idea guy. No one wants to do the shit. Just fucking do
Yeah, but
the
you're
shit.
right. You're right. That's,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And with the idea guy, there's an like like a thought of like having all these ideas. Like, I wish someone was there to do like do this for me. But yeah, it's uh, there definitely is some sort of a kick to the idea of starting new projects. And after, like with Astra, I really learned with, also this ties in back into like finishing projects. So I guess I'll go to that to now. Um, with Astra, I really had to limit myself in what I can do versus what I should do. And I've gotten like tons of criticism when it comes to the map of like not being up to par and up to standard with like certain elements of it. And at some point, I just had to tell those people that, look, I'm finishing this project after like a year of developing it, and the map is like 2 years old, and it's been in the back of my mind when I wasn't developing the map. It was always there. Uh, so when it comes to like, oh yeah, this area could be like detailed better, or this texture sucks, or this is like this area is like empty, or like, you know, the timings don't like really work here. I just have to say, without like going too deep into the topic with those people, I have to say that, look, I've been working on this map for so long that I have to get this thing over with before I can like start like make any sort of space in my mind to move on to something else. And you can always like work on something like forever and improve on it, but it's and I guess for some people that might work, but then again, like when, you know, you have to stop yourself from going forever with creative projects. It's like a house. At some point, it is done, and you can always add like a second wing to the house, but it's not gonna make sense after some time.
Yeah, just recognizing where to stop. So again, going back to my game BitTorched, for example,
Mm.
like it lacks a lot of things, but I just came to this point where I said, "Oh, it's done." It's just like I'm saying it's done, but at the same time also saying I'm done. If you get
Yeah,
what I mean.
yeah,
Uh, it's like it does lack a couple of things that in retrospect I would have liked was done, and I needed to be, and I do not regret it. Like basically, of course, there's always something to improve,
mm.
but just like recognize when something when you're done with something, and
Yeah,
when something is done.
yeah. And that point might not like, for like super creative people, that might not even hit them in the face as like the feeling of like, oh yeah, I've exhausted this like project. For some people, you might have like endless ideas for something. So then in that like universe, or in that like headspace, it might be impossible for you to like exhaust yourself out of ideas when it comes to creative projects. But yeah, I think that's a skill in and of itself, to like just understand to close something and then present it to people. But yeah, I think I think we have, with that, how to finish a project. I think we have ended up on a good note. That was a perfect closure for this this video.
Yeah. Uh, finish the video right now. I don't know. I don't have anything great to say. Wait,
You,
so we're doing the goodbyes?
do you have anything special you want to say?
Anything special? Well, the first things came to mind are things that will get this video demonetized. So no.
Any tips? Any tips? Then I'm gonna move you away from that.
Uh, any tips?
Any tips for life? Any like popcorn wisdom that you can like
Popcorn
take from this
wisdom.
video and then be like, okay, and then forget.
Well, I think my most general tip for life is that like the most generic tip for life I can give is that trust your gut.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Like, of course, if you're a gambling addict, don't trust your
Don't
gut.
trust
But
your
in
gut.
general, for most people, some like a lot of times, something makes you feel a certain way, and even though you like logically disagree with that feeling exists for a reason, and
Yeah.
you should look into it. So that's my most generic life tip I can give to you.
Yeah. Any new revelations? Like, have you learned anything super useful in the past couple of days or something? Sometimes
Revelation.
there is something like I've learned this. Sometimes there is something that you have learned recently, but it hasn't materialized in your mind. Then yet you can't really use it for like for its full extent. But I'm just like making you aware. Is there something that you have learned recently?
There is something actually learned today.
Oh really? Okay, let's hear it.
Yeah, so super specific advice now. So the other
Yes.
one was the most generic advice. Now the
See,
most super specific
I knew
advice.
that there was something to this. It's
Yes. So
useful.
something I learned today: when cooking with cornstarch or potato starch, be super careful, cause you add cornstarch or potato starch to
Yeah.
a dish to thicken the sauce,
Yes.
but you add 1 tablespoon more, and it converts from being thick to being snot, and that's something you don't want to do.
Yeah.
That I accidentally added too much cornstarch to my vegetarian curry I was cooking in the army
No.
today
Yeah.
before I came home, and it transformed into snot. And even though the taste was
You.
still good, I just wanted to puke just by looking at it. So
Yeah.
be very careful with cornstarch, kids.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's the popcorn advice. Actually, that's really useful when you're if you're a cook. But if you're a professional cook, you should already know that. But for
Yeah,
any
it's just something that I learned because cornstarch is something that I very rarely use. So
yeah,
if you also very rarely use cornstarch, just save yourself the trouble and be very careful with it.
there's gonna be one person hopefully watching this that's gonna enjoy. Also, I wanna point this out. Have you noticed how perfect the orange to teal lighting here is? Like my shirt is the perfect.
Yeah, you have really good color balance. I was in the middle of a
Perfect.
nuclear explosion and now the sun set, so I'm sort of in Shadowland.
I have to say I cracked up a couple of times during this. Like so if you think that something that T1 said it's not like it shouldn't be deserving of me cracking up. I'm like looking at T1's screen and it's like super. It's just like pure white. It's fucking hilarious. Okay.
No, yeah, my webcam is like actually costs $1. I'm not even joking. My
Yeah.
webcam is $1.
Mine is like 10 times the price of that, so it's like 10 euros. But
Yeah.
even then, that's not that much. Okay, we're gonna end up on that. So, thanks for watching.
All right. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to all of TW on
Subscribe to
YouTube.
T1. I think
Whoa.
he's in a good
Promotion.
role. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Goodbye.
All right.
Bye
Take
bye.
care.